Welcome, everybody, to a Friday edition of From the Nosebleeds. I'm Joey Gunnar here with Trent Finnegan. This is a fun Friday because we get to talk about what should be a blowout for the Broncos. However, I do want to preface blowout with a little bit of an asterisk with a maybe right next to it, because we were talking about trap games yesterday and we witnessed a pretty big trap game last night. And I want to call somebody in Philly because is that city burnt down right now? Is it burning down?
That might be one of the worst days in a single city sport. Like, the Flyers lost. Nobody really cares a lot about the Flyers right now.
Yeah.
But the Flyers lost. The Phillies just had that heartbreak.
Heartbreaking.
I mean, that was one of the saddest things I've ever seen in a playoff game.
Insane.
And then the Eagles, the Jalen Hurts haters had themselves a field day last night because the Eagles just rolled over and died. And the Giants look great, but the Eagles, they have a lot to figure out. So I can't believe I'm saying this, but I kind of feel bad for the Philly sports fans because that was one of the most painful sports nights for a single city I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah, no, we got our producer Dan in here wearing his Eagles gear, and he woke up not too happy today. He's not feeling great. I feel bad for anybody in that city. And again, that's really rare for me to say about that, about Philly, but come on, they're losing to the 1-4 Giants. The Giants are frisky and fun. I mean, they beat the Chargers, lose to the Saints, and then they beat the Eagles. Is this team just a big moment merchant? I have no idea. And the Eagles now, and one funny thing to say, and I guess it's not very funny being on the Broncos side of it, but does that loss yesterday kind of diminish the value of the Broncos win over the Eagles?
We'll see how the Eagles turn out over the next month because they have a lot of questions. But what if this is just kind of a slide like we saw them have in 2023 as they have this new offensive coordinator? They're trying to figure things out. But I still think that the Broncos win is a good win. Like, I still think that team is good just because of how talented the roster is. But maybe it doesn't look as good in December as we thought it all did last week.
Yeah, and now there's going to be some major questions heading into the week after this upcoming week when the Broncos are welcoming the Giants to Empower Field. That game's got a lot more energy now than it did even when Russell Wilson was looking to be the starting quarterback. But let's move on. Let's talk about what we really want to talk about, and that's the Broncos' upcoming game against the Jets. And I phrased it down here in a fun way, and that's how big of a win should we expect the Broncos to have over the Jets? Because you shouldn't be looking to just win this game by one score like the Broncos have had in the past couple, year. We've gotten kind of used to the Broncos winning these one-score games, keeping it close, kind of getting tired, taking their foot off the gas at the end of games when they're winning by a large margin. And that's definitely something that we've seen with the Jets. They've come back and made the score look better than it actually felt in the late periods of games. So what the Broncos need to do if they really want to get their name out there is get a big lead first and then do all that they can to keep it. And one way that they'll be able to do that is win the battle in the trenches. This is my favorite kind of football, the football that you're playing in the mud, on the ground, the run game, because we've got two of some of the best run offenses in the league going up against each other. The fourth best run offense in the Broncos versus the third best run offense in the Jets. Is this going to be a ground game? Because I know earlier this week I was talking about the X factor being Marvin Mims. It might be like an RJ Harvey. This might be a game for him to show out.
Hey, you know what they say? RPO is not run pass option. It's run power often. And that's probably what we're going to see a lot on Sunday.
Yeah.
The big thing with the Broncos is how does the loss of Ben Powers impact that? One of their best linemen. I mean, all five of their starting linemen are great. But his loss to this unit really impacts the chemistry of that. Now they're going to have either Alex Pachevsky or Matt Pert. They haven't really announced who's going to slide in at that guard position yet.
Yeah.
No matter who it is, they're going to have to step up in a big way. And because the Broncos need to run the ball. Look, we've seen them have success against the Bengals. We've seen them have success against the Eagles. I thought J.K. Dobbins had himself a solid day against Philly last week. So they're going to have to emphasize the run ball. And I'm still waiting for them to get Bo Nix involved in the run game. We know that he is a dynamic runner. We know he's scrambling. I'm not asking for him to get 12 carries, but hey, maybe get him a read option or something. Maybe get him off tackle, because then you get an extra blocker in the pattern. So, but running the ball is going to be a big key. The Jets are great at it. We know they have Justin Fields, who's a talented, explosive athlete. But the Broncos established the run game, set up the play action, and the deep shots.
Yeah. And one thing the Jets are not good at is anything on the defensive side of the ball. You look at the stats here, there's a very stark contrast between what the Broncos defense looks like and the Jets defense looks like. The Broncos are the second best in the league in points allowed, the second best. The Jets, the second worst. So anytime you're getting to the other side of the ball or other side of the half, you're getting into your own end zone or, red zone, I mean, you're looking to score. When it comes to points allowed, the Jets are only above, I believe, the Ravens, who have been riddled with injuries this season so far. They're not looking good at all on the defensive side of the ball. So if the Broncos can get that run game going, first of all, that'll be massively successful. And second of all, then you open up the opportunity to get Bo Nix involved, not only in the run game with him kind of tricking the defense, but in that pass game. That's where you'll see Marvin Mims end up being one of the X factors. But really, it looks like RJ Harvey, because we saw him against the Bengals and what he was able to do against a similarly poor defense. I'd expect him to have very similar numbers as he did to that game. In the pass game, he was out there making some plays. And that's one thing that I was heavily, not necessarily loved, but I liked that a lot about RJ Harvey, is how he could be a threat in that pass game. Not only that, but if he gets that run game moving quick, he'll be able to have a great game. It could be his best game of the season so far.
Oh, I agree with you. And maybe he can finally spring one on a kick return. We've been seeing a lot of teams kick it to him because they don't want to kick it to Mims, who was an All-Pro last year. Yeah. I get that. And, there's been a couple of them where you feel like, if he makes this one guy miss, or, if he goes to the next gap over, he could spring one. So maybe he can get some momentum going on a kick return, but hopefully they get him involved in the pass game. You saw I forget exactly how many touches he had, but it was in the teens against the Bengals.
Yeah.
And he made the most of it. And I think that they need to do it again. That Bengals game was a really great blend of running Dobbins in between the tackles, using Harvey on those tosses, getting him out in the pattern a little bit. So I'd hope Sean Payton does more of that, because we've seen how successful it can be. And you don't want to experiment with that against a team like the Chiefs or something, but maybe against the Jets, that's something where you could be like, hey, what do we have here? Yeah. We need to see what we have. So I think it'd be a good opportunity for them to try and get Harvey involved a lot.
Yeah. And then on the other side of the ball, again, for the Broncos defense, if they can stop that pass game, then the Broncos would be putting themselves in a position that they love being in. And that's the pass, or if they could stop the run game, they'd be putting themselves in a position that they love, which is the pass rush game. They have been great rushing the pass. They have 21 sacks on the season, which is 3 times the amount of the Jets, by the way. So another very big difference in the two defenses here. The Jets have 7 sacks on the season. The Broncos have 21. If they can get in there and force some sacks, then they'd be putting themselves in a great position.
Oh, yeah. And big thing I'm looking for is what celebration is Nick Bonito going to pull out this week?
Yeah.
We've seen the Eagles. We had the Fly Eagles Fly last week. He was talking about how he usually plans out of Selly. But he has 7 sacks on his own, 31 pressures, both lead the league. The 7 sacks is as much as the Jets, and it's more than quite a few teams in the league. There's plenty of teams who haven't hit 7 sacks yet. But him, Jonathan Cooper, Zach Allen, and John Franklin Myers, they only need to rush 4. I'm expecting them to really get after it. But something I would like to see more, if there's a way you can knock this pass. I'm not saying knock it, but they've had opportunities to get strip sacks, and they haven't quite forced as many fumbles as maybe you'd expect. They only have 4 takeaways on the season. There was one last week where they ran a double defensive back blitz. They totally tricked Jalen Hurts. And I think it was Jaquan McMillan coming off that right side, and it looked like he had a great opportunity to kind of punch down on that ball when Jalen Hurts was scrambling to his left. And credit to Hurts, he held on to it. But the Broncos have had opportunities to force turnovers in the pocket with their pass rush, and that would, obviously, it helped the Broncos offense even more. So if there's any way to improve their pass rush, which they're the best in the league, they have, I think, the best pass rush in the league in Nick Bonito, it would be to start attacking the ball and trying to get some strip sacks and put the offense in great position.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just another case where the Broncos defense completely outshines the Jets. The Broncos have 4 takeaways on the season, which I know isn't a lot, But do you know how many the Jets have? Zero takeaways.
Zero.
This cannot be a game where Bo Nix throws another interception. I mean, he did great in the Eagles game last week. He was great. I was very worried, honestly. He threw an interception against the Bengals. I'm like, if you throw an interception against the Bengals, what is it going to look like against the Eagles? But he looked confident. Playing that same way, don't get too loose. Play the game that you know. Don't let the Jets get their first turnover of the season on you. And then continue to get that pass rush going and try to force some more of those. Get back to even, because the Broncos are at -2 in the turnover margin right now with 4 takeaways and 6 giveaways. So take that opportunity, make the most of it, go out there, get some big sacks, establish the pass rush, stop the run game, and this should be a big win for the Broncos. I want to hear your prediction of what the score will be when the clock strikes 0. What's it going to be?
Clock hits 0. I think it's going to be 24-16. You know, the spread's about a touchdown. I think that the Jets will find a way maybe in the fourth quarter to make it a little interesting, but this should be a game where Denver feels pretty comfortable, kind of similar to that Cincinnati game. I love how you brought up Bo Nix, though. He doesn't need to be a hero in this game. He just needs to go out there. He needs to be on time. He needs to be on schedule. He just needs to run this offense like a well-oiled machine. He doesn't need to go beat Patrick Mahomes. He doesn't need to go beat Josh Allen. Just go out there and just be cool, be calm, collected in the pocket. This is not a good defense. If he speeds himself up and his footwork starts getting bad, that's where the Broncos could have problems. So as long as he keeps his composure, I don't see any way that this Broncos offense doesn't score more than 24 points. And then bringing it back to Justin Fields, still 0-26 as a starter when the opposing team scores 21 or more points. That's clearly the benchmark. I think Bo Nix will set the Broncos offense up just fine to do that. 24-16, Denver wins.
Yeah, I like that. And there's a very bad name that's given to people who, let me rephrase. The term game manager is looked at as a bad word sometimes. It's not. In games like this, all you need is to be a game manager. You don't need Bo Nix to be throwing it 50 yards in air to Marvin Mims for a deep ball because you have to get points on the board right away. You just need him to manage the ball, manage the clock, manage the team, get them into a position where they can then score using the run game. Call plays that immediately, and this goes to Sean Payton too, call plays that are always looking for forward progress, 3 yards. That's all that you need. Every single time you're on the ball, 3 yards is all you need to win the game. And if the Broncos bring it down to the basics like that, they'll win it every time. There are certain times where we see Josh Allen who needs to be that hero and he's making Superman plays. He's not a game manager. But there are certain points where you're watching him against some poor teams, and that's all that he needs to be. So if Bo Nix just goes out there and manages the game, I'm still seeing a very big win. I don't disagree with you on the 24 mark for the Broncos. I think it's going to be closer to 24-10. That's where I can see it more likely ending. What are the Jets really going to do? They might get some late field goals, maybe a late touchdown, but 24-10 is closer to what I see the Broncos getting. But it should be overall a great game for the Broncos, at least, not for the Jets. I can't say I feel for Jets fans. Unfortunate that you were born a Jets fan, really. Unfortunate to be a Jets fan.
Hey, they can go root for Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
Same town. Jackson Dart's provide New York City.
Same stadium. Just switch over. Go root for Jackson Dart. Incredible. Incredible where you see him and Cam Scatterbo do. What the heck is Cam Scatterbo on, by the way? What is that? Are we?
That man's brain will be on the front page of every CTE research study in 50
Literally.
years. He is so much fun. He was so much fun to watch at Arizona State. He's so much fun to watch for the Giants this year. And he is just a wrecking ball. He's a maniac. It's crazy.
He's a maniac. He's insane.
And you see Eagles players last night who fill and they're one-on-one in the hole with him, and they don't want any smoke with him. They are kind of ducking out. They don't. So that guy's fun, and that guy, we'll talk about it next week, but that guy is going to pose some problems for the Broncos defense.
Oh, yeah. It's like if you shrunk Derrick Henry into a 5'9" body and gave him all the same skills, the same weight, the same power. It's insane to watch him. But, yeah, that'll be a conversation for next week. We do have another conversation for today, and that's the CU Buffs. What are we looking at here? Is this a must-win game, at least for Caden Salter?
I think it is. He is. He's lost the fan base. I think that's pretty clear. I can't speak on the locker room, But if you look at the vibes around the CU fan base, whether it's in person, whether it's on social media, anywhere, people are calling for Juju. They want their quarterback, and they have to remember Juju Lewis should be a senior in high school right now, still playing down in Georgia, and he's up playing college ball. He reclassified, and they'll play him when he's ready. Look, Coach Prime has shown that he's willing to play these freshmen. He's played Quentin Gibson this year. He's played London Merritt. He's played Alex McPherson, but he's waiting on Juju. Besides those 2 drives in the Delaware game, which I just throw that in the trash.
There wasn't anything there. Yeah,
it was so weird.
Yeah.
But for Salter, man, and if he goes out and they lose, but he at least plays fine, I think he'll stay around. But if he goes out and he throws another couple poor interceptions, there are going to be some calls for a quarterback change, especially with the bye week following this game. So I don't know. This Iowa State team is very good. They're still 5-1. They lost to Cincy last week. But Cincy gave the Buffs a blueprint for beating this team, and it's a blueprint that the Buffs can follow. Cincy ran the ball all over the Cyclones last week, 7.6 yards per carry. They were up 31-7 at halftime. So here's the thing. Pat Shurmur cannot get away from this run game. He's shown with his opening scripts that he's willing to run it, whether that's with Michael Welch or Caden Salter. So if he gets away from that, I think the Buffs are going to be in trouble. That also goes on the Buffs defense, has got to make it so this team does not fall behind in the score. They got to kind of hold their ground. And then the injuries. The injury report just gets longer and longer and longer every single week. I mean, I feel like I'm a medieval person reading some giant scroll that the king is coming next week.
Your lodge is falling down.
There's just 500 CU players on this injury report every week. And this week, Draylon Miller, who has been like this revelation in the backfield, they finally found out how to give him the ball. He's doubtful. Isaiah Harge, talented slot receiver, little speedy guy, he's doubtful. Arden Walker, probably the team's best pass rusher, he's doubtful. Carter Stoutmeyer, who's been in the secondary for the last 3 seasons, he's doubtful. Those are 4 key players that are doubtful, not to mention everybody else, DeKalen Taylor, Simeon Price, all those other guys who are out. So I just don't know if they're going to have the bodies to, like the talented bodies that they need to keep up with them. And I do think it's a must win, but I don't think it really looks great for them to get the win on Saturday.
I mean, must win is such a funny term because even if they do win, how much does it really mean in the long run? I mean, they're 2-4 right now. They're 2-4. A win here gets you 3-4.
And most importantly, they're 0-3 in conference play.
Exactly.
And in college ball, conference play matters so much. And I don't think 3 conference losses gets you in the Big 12 championship game. This conference is too good. I think it's 2.
I find it very hard to imagine a world where 3 conference losses gets you to the championship game.
And they're going to go undefeated and beat Iowa State, Utah, Arizona State, West Virginia, who's not good, but they're in Morgantown, Kansas State and Manhattan. That's another tough place to play. I just don't see them running the table. So I already think that their kind of Big 12 hopes are over. So then you start looking to the bowl game, but you still need 4 wins to get to a bowl game. Can you find 4 wins on that schedule?
No. If I'm going to be 100% honest, no. I can't find 4 wins there. Not at all.
I'm going to be able to find Waldo 4 times before I find 4 wins on CU's schedule. I mean, it's just – and it goes to show how good this Big 12 conference is. The Big 12 is so deep. And, maybe it's not as high-powered as the SEC, as the Big 10. I get it. Those guys, those top Ohio States.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about the Big 12 or the Big 10 and the SEC. It's a totally different class, but that doesn't mean that the Big 12 isn't able to compete.
No, and the Big 12 is just more balanced in my eyes. And I think that there are still 7 teams who can make this championship game. The Buffs, not one of those 7. So
they're not.
I don't like we're saying, even if they win this game, I just don't see it. Their only hopes for the season is, I think, getting 6 wins and getting to this bowl game. Maybe you want to explore some of your young guys and see who can be impactful for next season, because there's not a whole lot to look for. I mean, rest of the schedule, Iowa State, Utah, Arizona, West Virginia, Arizona State, Kansas State.
It's tough. It's a tough rest of your schedule. That's not easy. I mean, we looked at the easy part of the schedule, and it was right at the beginning. I mean, you lost to Georgia Tech, and that's one of, I mean, I guess they're looking solid right now, but still, like, you had a chance to win that game.
Georgia Tech handed them that game.
Yeah.
They
3 turnovers in
the
first, 10 minutes.
Yeah, and none of them were CU going out and, making great plays. It was Georgia Tech, 2 fumbles that they handed to him, and an interception that was overthrown that fell in DJ McKinney's lap.
Mm-hmm.
These weren't some crazy, oh my goodness, awesome Travis Hunter plays.
No.
So they let that game slip. Obviously, the Houston game was just abysmal. And then the last 2 games, they were in it in the fourth quarter and fell apart. So
I mean, yeah, they were in it. And, we talked about the BYU game, the turnover late in the game. You had a chance to go down and make a drive. And then
instead of throwing the ball away and just taking your medicine and saying, hey, live to see another down, Salter pushes it into double coverage and the game's over.
Tries to make a play.
And that's where this fan base is getting frustrated because they have this guy. Salter is a really, really good football player.
Yeah.
He's super athletic. He's got a great arm. He is not a great quarterback.
No.
The mental game
he's got all the skills.
A quarterback is not there. There's a difference between being an athlete and a football player and being a quarterback. And he's not there yet. And that's what this fan base knows, that they have a quarterback in Julian Lewis. And even though he's not ready yet, that's why they're itching, because they're tired of – they had a great quarterback in Shedeur the last 2 years. That guy was one of the best processors in the country. But as long as Salter's under center, I just don't see them beating Iowa State, Utah, or Arizona State, and that would give them a ceiling of 5 wins at that point. No bowl game. So.
Yeah. And it's so unfortunate because there's been glimmers of hope with Caden Salter. There's been some shining pieces, that you can see that look good, that look like they could win games. He's put CU in positions to win games early in the past 2 games, going up 14-0 twice. But in both of these games, you look like you're going to go out there and blow out 2 ranked teams. But then you crumble. Then he crumbles all the way apart. And you start to realize that maybe Caden Salter isn't the real reason that they were in those positions to win. It's unfortunate to watch them fall apart.
And you talk about going early, and that kind of goes back to him not being the best quarterback. Those 14-0 leads are because of the opening script. So teams all week in practice, coaches, the offense, they create this opening script. It's 10 to 15 plays that they practice. They're like, hey, we're starting the game. We're starting here. We're expecting to get 4 yards. We're going here. We're expecting to get 12 yards. We're going here. As soon as that script dries out for Pat Shurmur and Caden Salter, this offense has no idea how to adjust. And we've seen that. That's why people are always like, oh my goodness, how do they score 14 points and then just stop? It's because the script runs out and then they aren't able to adjust at all. And that speaks to not having a quarterback who's a great processor like Shedeur Sanders was. So it was fun to hope that this team could have a good season. The magic is dead. Like the magic of the oh my goodness, the portal, whatever. It's not looking great in Boulder, and this is clearly going to be a down year. So I don't know. So I'm interested. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think that they keep this close? It's a 2.5-point spread on Saturday. Do you think that they can keep it in the ballpark?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at it. It looks like it could be a close game, but close games we've seen fall apart for the Buffs in the past. I don't see it ending as close as the spread originally says. For me, there's not a real chance that the Buffs win this game. I'll have all my hopes up in the beginning. When that opening script works and they go up 14-0 again, I'll have my hopes up again, but then I'll tweet out like I did last week, all roads lead to Rome, and who knows, the Buffs will end up losing by 10. So really, I could see it ending more like a 27-23 game, going in favor of the opposing team. So, I mean, I hope not, but we'll have to see what happens on Saturday. What do you think?
I think 27-21. And here you look at their point total. I mean, we're both in the same neighborhood. You look at CU's point totals, 20 against Georgia Tech, 31 against Delaware, 20 against Houston, 37 against Wyoming, 21-21 the last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
The theme is that they can't get more than 21 points against a competent opponent.
Yeah.
So, and I think they're going to be right there, 21 points. And I think Iowa State, they have this veteran leader in Rocco Becht. They have 5 receivers who can get the ball. They love spreading the wealth. They are a very balanced team. They have a lot of solid players. I just don't think CU has enough guys on defense to keep up with them. So, yeah, I'm going 27-21, Iowa State.
Yeah, so similar there. But one big question I want to ask is this, we talked about must win for Caden Salter. Is this the make or break game? If Caden Salter loses here, is Julian Lewis going to be the one behind center next?
I think if they lose and he plays fine, I think Salter's going to stay. But if it's another 3-pick, just bad game from him, I think you've got to turn the page, even if it's earlier than this team wants to.
Yeah.
But let's say we get a 16 for 23, 200 yards, a touchdown and a pick, and maybe a rushing touchdown.
If he has if he has 2 total touchdowns, I think he'll stay.
I think he'd stay even if they lose. But if it's another, hey, here are 3 awful picks, and we throw 1 touchdown, and hey, we run the ball right, I just think you've got to turn the page. And it sucks. This was not the plan. Was obviously to sit Juju this season and have this veteran come in and kind of bridge the gap between Shedeur and Juju, and it's just not working. So I think Salter's going to stay for a while. Coach Prime has not seemed like he's in any rush to play Juju. On Tuesday, he said he's coming around the mountain when he comes.
Yeah.
Does anybody know when that is? No.
And we'll have to see. It's all going to come down to this Saturday. And if it doesn't come down to this Saturday, it's going to be the next Saturday. Because right now, Caden Salter's on his heels. He's backed into a corner. And if he has one game where he slips up, that's where Julian Lewis is.
And my thing, too, is that, even though next week is a bye week, the following week is at Utah.
Yeah.
You don't want to throw I guess he's 18 now. You don't want to throw an 18-year-old.
Oh, that really changes anything.
I know, yeah. I was going to say 17. But you don't want to throw a guy who should be in high school out. I don't care how talented he is. Against Kyle Whittingham on the road against Utah, that's a good team. And I know they got throttled by Texas Tech. That's still a good football team. So I think that the best chance for him to start is against Arizona at home on November 1st.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see. There's one thing I've been looking forward to all week, and that is our poll that we put up on Monday. We had a great question go up, and that question is, after beating the Eagles, where do the Broncos rank amongst all NFL teams? You guys voted on Twitter and on YouTube, and clearly a lot of people have the same mindset here that the Broncos are within the top 10 of teams, but not within the top 5. Trent, just looking at this graph right here of our poll answers, is there anything that sticks out to you, or is this about where you'd see?
I think that's about what I expect. And, I look at this week's power rankings. Broncos are 10th, but there's some good teams. The teams in front of them, Washington, Indianapolis, LA Rams, Packers, Seahawks, Buccaneers, Bills, Eagles, Lions.
Yeah.
I think 6-10 is about right. And, after the Eagles lost last night, maybe the Broncos put up something strong on Sunday. Maybe they can jump closer to that 5-ish range. Mm-hmm. But there's some great teams in the NFC, and that's no discredit to the Broncos. And the Broncos, they have a blueprint for the future to keep building over the next few years. Remember, we're still pretty early in this timeline for the Knicks and Payton combo. So I think the 6-10 range is right about. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I think 70.7% of people, I agree with them. And yeah.
No, that's where I voted. And it's really funny how you can tell exactly where the Chiefs fans are, because you can see that 1.1% right down there. But there were a few comments too at Guala2794. They beat the Eagles and Philly on a short week. I like this comment for one thing, and that's the short week comment. The Broncos played on Monday the week before. Can we really classify a Monday to Sunday as a short week? I get a Sunday to Thursday, but I don't think that beating the Eagles, on a short week when he played on a Monday the week before is really that special. I think that what's more special is the fact that you went into Philadelphia and beat the Eagles for the first time in nearly 4 decades. It's a big win, and let's not give them credit for the short week. Let's give them credit for where they were able to go. One of the most hardest places to play in the league, and they were able to do it.
Oh, I agree with you. Yeah, great win. And, I guess the travel plays into the short week as well. They didn't practice on Tuesday or Wednesday, but I mean, yeah. A win over the Eagles is a win, whether you have 10 days of rest or you have 4 days of rest. And I think it's great. And I think that kind of showed that, hey, this is a top 10 team in this league.
Yeah, no, definitely. Another one at Lysergic Toad: Bills, Lions, Buccaneers, Jaguars, Broncos. So he's got them in the top 5 on the Bills, Lions, Buccaneers, Jaguars. That's lofty. That's lofty. I won't lie. I mean,
I love the Jaguars shout.
Yeah.
I love the Jaguars shout. 4-1. They've been surprising the league so far.
Yeah. No, I like that. I do wonder if the Eagles should maybe still, I mean, not anymore, obviously, after yesterday's loss, but I mean, there are teams like the Colts. The Colts beat the Broncos. Are they deserving of a spot in the top 5?
I'd say I'd put the Colts over the Broncos right now. That AFC South looks pretty good. And it's like, hey, do the Seahawks deserve a spot? What about the Packers?
Yeah.
What about the Rams? And again, this is no discredit to the Broncos whatsoever. This is just, there are some good teams at the top of this league.
Yeah. So it's obviously good to just know that, the Broncos are being considered one of those top teams in the league.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, well, that'll do it for today's episode of From the Nosebleeds. Make sure you check out our polls on Monday. We post them to YouTube and Twitter. Have a chance, comment something on there, and you have a chance to get it featured on our show. But that'll do it for today's episode. We'll be back with you guys again on Monday, of course, recapping these huge games for the Buffs, and then a big blowout, hopefully, for the Broncos. Hopefully they can get it done. Again, we gave our score predictions, but I'd like to hear your guys', so make sure you comment after the show is done so we can go back and react to them. But thank you guys all for joining. We will see you on Monday. Until then, y'all have a great rest of your day and a great weekend.